Hi, guys. Welcome to the latest episode of Blood, Sweat, and Beers, our podcast presented by SportsKhabri. In the last episode, we spoke about the Fantasy Premier League and the upcoming season. And today, we are again joined by Rahul Saha and Ali Qazi, our two experts who you heard in the previous episode. And today, we also have amongst us Anshuman. He's a writer and editor with SportsKhabri. And today, he's here to share his excitement about the upcoming season, the English Premier League, who we are all so excited about. This wait couldn't have been enough. The last game day was, I think, May 31st, and it's been almost 3 months since we've been waiting for it. And Rahul, Ali, Anshuman, tell me how excited you guys are about this season.
Yeah, we're
Shwetaabh,
absolutely.
just to get one thing straight, it was
Yeah,
not 31st May, it was actually 22nd May. Like I've been counting each and every single day, like when the season will start, and for I can't remember the last time like Arsenal were ready ahead of a new season. So the excitement is really there, and just can't wait for the first
I
game of the
can
season.
I can absolutely feel your excitement, Rahul. Also, I think I said 3 months, और जबकि ये मेरे ख्याल से 2 ढाई महीने ही हुए हैं, लेकिन वो मेरे
हाँ,
लिए तीन
exactly.
महीने से ज्यादा का ही 3 महीने से ज्यादा का ही वेट है. Because this period, ये जो बीच का पीरियड आता है ना, मई में खत्म होता है, and then to wait till September, it's like you just can't wait. And thank God there's a World Cup this year only because the season is starting early. What do you think, Anshuman? What do you feel about this season?
Yeah, can't wait. And like you said, 2 months is way too long a time. And despite us having the Nations League in June and the Women's Euros, all of which is very exciting football. Club football um, just has its own feeling. And when it's not there, you miss it like anything else. So yeah, I just cannot wait for the season to resume.
Absolutely.
And again, these 2.5 months felt like the biggest void in the life. Absolutely, truly. So now we are ready to go, and I'm much more excited than I used to be before in previous seasons. So there are reasons behind it, and we'll talk about those
The
reasons.
reasons I can the reasons behind it I can see in your jersey, Ali. I know
Yes,
why you're excited because I can feel it too. Acha, before we get into the nitty-gritties of the season, I just want to ask a very personal question to all three of you. Since how long have you guys been following English Premier League? Ali, जब से
I've
यूनाइटेड
been
लास्ट टाइम चैंपियन बनी है तब से या फर्स्ट टाइम चैंपियन से?
my football following is pretty strange. I started watching football in 2000 from 2018-19 season actually.
Wow.
I am pretty new, but it doesn't feel like I'm new. But yes, I am.
नहीं, एक्चुअली मेरे लिए ये सरप्राइजिंग नहीं है दैट यू हैव बीन फॉलोइंग इट सिंस 2018-19. मेरे लिए सरप्राइजिंग ये है कि आपने 2018-19 में देखना शुरू किया एंड यू आर अ यूनाइटेड फैन. That's
Yes,
what is
yes,
surprising for me.
yeah.
But I'm very proud of you. I'm glad United still has new
Uh,
fans coming in
at,
despite the
at that
season.
at that time when we were at our lowest during the time of
Good.
Jose
You
Mourinho's
you
second.
you are a true supporter. Anshuman, what about you? Since how long have you been following the Premier League specifically?
So the first proper season that I think I actually followed was the 2012-13 one, the last time United were relevant. And well, yeah, that's the year I started following football. Before that, I had very little understanding. I couldn't even recognize Lionel Messi by face. That's how bad my understanding of football was. I just did not care.
Wow.
But yeah, after that, I've just stuck to football, and I haven't really followed any other sport the way I follow football. And here we are, 10 years down the line.
Amazing. How about you, Rahul?
Yeah, so my like very first season was the year that Arsenal reached the Champions League final and lost out to Barcelona.
That
And
was
like ever since
2005-6.
then, yeah, I started watching football before that, but I like didn't understand much of it. So by the time the 2005-6 season when like started, so I got a hold of the game and just understand could understand it a bit. And then, yeah, since then I've been a fan of Arsenal and Wenger ball till 17, 18, and then things took a downhill turn from there.
That's okay. We've all been there. I've also been there because I also started watching English Premier League in the 2005 season only, funnily. और उस season United नहीं जीती थी. I think they came third or fourth. But the next
Actually, we are still in there. we are
This
Like
in
I
is
that.
think you guys can,
yeah,
I think you guys can now feel our pain. Like it's been nearly 2 decades for us that we haven't won the league title, and it's
true,
also been
true.
nearly a decade for you guys that you guys haven't won the league. So yeah, like we can, like we have each other's shoulder to cry on, at least for now.
Evening league champions and Liverpool had the same wait. They waited for
Shweta,
30
we
years.
lost
Yeah.
you in between for a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that when you're talking about league champions, we've been. I was saying that obviously it's been 20 years since Arsenal has been champions. And United it's almost been 10 years. Liverpool and Manchester City have been dominating the landscape for the past 5-6 years now. So इस साल क्या लगता है? Let's start with this only, and I'll go to Anshuman first because यहाँ पे बाकियों की loyalties पता चल गई है कहाँ lie करती है. Let's just see what Anshuman has to say. Anshuman, who's your pick for the league champion this year?
So I think we discussed this before we started recording as well, and Rahul in particular was very excited to hear my reasoning. And I have a feeling that he has already given much thought to my decision than I have given myself. And so, as far as my loyalties lie, I am a Manchester United fan, and so I can very much
Whoa.
join in on the consolation. So, my pick for champions are Tottenham, and look, there's a thing with predictions, right? No matter how hard you try to take it seriously, at the end of the day, they will come back to bite you. So one way of doing it is trying to put as much thought as you can into it, and try to predict up to the best of your abilities. And you can also have a bit of fun with it. So I'm trying to do a bit of both here, by choosing Spurs as my champions, because Liverpool and Manchester City, picking them as champions is a very safe bet, and it will most probably be the right bet as well. But it's also very boring. And just for kicks, just for my very first answer, just for kicks, I want to have a different champion, because at the end of the day, I'm a football fan and I just want to see a different champion being crowned every season. So that is why I'm putting
Anshuman, not
Tottenham.
Spurs.
Now, yeah.
Go ahead, Anshuman. Go
Not
ahead, go ahead.
Spurs.
Okay, no, I understand why you don't want Spurs,
Yeah, yeah,
Rahul,
yeah.
but I'm say yeah. So see, the reason why I say Spurs is because I know Antonio Conte. I know how his terms work when he works at different clubs. I've seen his work at Chelsea, at Juventus, and recently Inter. And that the project that he always overhems is a short-term one. You can look at the signings that they have been making recently, the likes of Ivan Perisic and Richarlison, Jet Spence, Yves Bissouma, some very good young players there as well. But as far as Conte's project is concerned, is always a very short one, 2-3 seasons max. And last season, he did a very good job at taking them to the Champions League, and which he deserves every bit of plaudit that is coming his way. And Tottenham have been looking for a trophy for 14 years now. And despite Conte having a termist, uh, very short termist characteristic to his tenures, he still has a very good track record. He has won everywhere he's been, and Tottenham is one of those clubs that either break the manager, like they did with Jose Mourinho, or Antonio Conte could be the one to break the Tottenham curse, becoming the first manager to win in what will now be 15 years at the end of the next season. So why do I believe they can do it? Is first of all, I think if Spurs are to reach any kind of heights under Conte, it has to be either this season or next season. And I don't think I think next season is a bit too far. I think this season is when Tottenham will reach their height. And it's not just that. I think the amount of change that Liverpool have underwent over the summer, having sold Sergio Mane, having onboarded Darwin Nunez, and having onboarded Luis Diaz in January, I think what they are undergoing right now is quite a tactical shift, because the players that are the front three that is taking that will take place now is not going to be not going to play the same way that Firmino, Mane, and Salah did. So the directness of which forward will be the goal scoring one is going to change. And yes, Salah is the marquee player now, having been given that newly limited contract. But the way the front three operate is going to change. And I think Liverpool were very good last season, reached a lot of finals, won 2 trophies, and they started the season with a trophy. So as far as I'm concerned, they are going to have a bit of a period where they might need some time acclimatizing to this new system that Klopp is trying to implement. And while there are a few exceptions to Klopp signings, most of those signings take a while to get going. Saw that with the likes of Gini Wijnaldum, Andy Robertson, even Fabinho, and Thiago Alcantara. And Salah was one exception. Mane was somewhere in the middle. He took his time. And Luis Diaz, even though he feels like he was immediately like a house on fire, his end product is not yet there. And while he's very exciting and he's very good in being a winger that can drag the opposition players towards him, opening space for his teammates, I think he's going to require a bit more of a betting time. So all in all, Liverpool are going to have a season in which they're going to undergo a bit of a acclimatizing period, and so will Manchester City, because for the first time they have an out-and-out number 9 in nearly 2 years now. I think after Sergio Aguero, this is the first time they have someone in Erling Haaland and even Julian Alvarez. And Julian Alvarez might start off as a bit of a Gabriel Jesus figure insofar as he'll try to play centrally as well as those wide roles, and might be a bit more of a number 9 akin to the type that we are known that Pep Guardiola employs. And Erling Haaland is more of a direct forward, and it will be very interesting to see how he learns and implements himself in this Guardiola system. So again, other thing that I think it's a bit tricky with City is that they've sort of sold Alexander Zinchenko, they've sold Raheem Sterling, and while you could say that these are not out and out starters for Manchester City, one of the strong parts of Manchester City is the amount of depth they have, which is why they don't need a striker who can score 25, 30 goals. They don't need someone who can plug in 25 assists. They are a coherent squad, and which is why they win league season in, season out, and they are right at the top of the table, even when they do not win the league. This season, I think that is going to take a bit of a hit, because as far as the left back situation is concerned, we know that they are not now getting Marco Correa, and they are still trying to go for a left back. I'm not sure which one, if one will arrive. And João Cancelo, as good as he is with his technical ability of the left, I think there are some matches in which you just want a left-footed fullback on the left. And Pep Guardiola is someone who takes these kind of things very seriously. He's very, very meticulous about having the right play with the right foot in the right positions, having the right kind of passing trajectories. And I think he will be a bit frustrated by the fact that they do not have a more traditional left back option. So I think City are slightly thin, not too much, because saying City don't have enough players is like it's when you try to bring out the smallest violin, because they always have enough players and they always have the will for it. But I think again this season, as City usually tend to do, City will take a bit of time get going. And with Liverpool and City, the two out and out favorites, requiring a bit of time to get going, I think it gives Spurs as good a chance as they will have this season, having Conte in that phase where they'll have the likes of Son, Kane, Perisic, Chet Spence, Yves Bissouma, much better players fitting his system, Conte's system, much better than some of the previous ones did. So I think Spurs have as good a chance as they will ever have to make a run for it. And could it be the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea? I think that they require a little bit more time.
I think we'll come to Arsenal, Chelsea. I think we'll come to the
yeah. I think what I'm
parts first.
essentially saying is that they have a longer cycle as far as their development is concerned, and Spurs is not going to have that, because the moment Conte leaves, Spurs will again require to have a rebuild. But at the moment, as long as Conte is there, they have as good a chance to go for the league as anyone else. So, which is why Spurs are my pick for the league.
I think that's a very interesting point you brought on, Anshuman, that Conte's projects have been very small, but he's been delivering results, and that's very true. But and we've actually started our predictions with a bang. No one, I don't think Tottenham as a number one pick is going to be a very obvious choice. So glad we started with a very unusual choice. Rahul, what do you think? Who's going to be your pick
I'll go
for the
last here,
champion?
please. I'll go last here.
Okay, all right, Ali, you tell me.
Again, it is true that we can't place our bets with the firmity that we used to do in last two seasons on City or Liverpool, because they have become weaker, and on the other hand Tottenham is stronger. So Tottenham can give a shock, but then again I see there is something about Tottenham, it's Tottenham thing. So I do feel they can bottle it. But again, yeah, as Anshuman mentioned, Liverpool are in a different phase now because they do have different kind of players. Now Mane was one of their most important players in the left flank, and the link up he used to have with Robertson was very imperative for them. Now Diaz, he is a good player obviously, but his kind of play is not what Klopp wants exactly. So he's when we see him, he is very good, but his productivity is not up to the mark. So I think they are gonna face some problems. But again, I'm going with City. City, I do feel City will win it. They have everything, and I'm pretty sure they'll sign a left back to cover up the spaces. They are the voids in there. So again, they have Calvin Phillips who can be in the midfield again. So Alvarez is their go-to man. He can do a Raheem Sterling thing on the right or left. He can do a Gabriel Jesus as well. And I've seen him in River Plate in last season because he was linked with Manchester United. So I liked him a lot. And the way he has turned out in the preseason, I don't think he's gonna need much more time to get established in the Premier League environment. So City are my choice.
Okay, Rahul, as you want to go last, I'll give my prediction. My prediction is also Manchester City, even though my heart pains me to say this. But yeah, the kind of form they have been in the past 2, 3 years, and obviously, like Anshuman also pointed out, and Ali also pointed out, both squads have Manchester City and Liverpool, the two teams who've been at the top of the English football. I think both teams have lost out on players, but the way City is built and they still have some reinforcements coming. They have brought on some reinforcements. So I don't think that they become as weak as Liverpool. And of course, both of them are miles above the competition in my view. So I think between Liverpool and City, it is still City which is way stronger this season. And for me, that's my pick. What and now Rahul, you can go ahead with your pick.
Yeah, so when we, initially had this plan to have these predictions and all those things, so like I was also like I had this thought that Tottenham could, being a surprise and being a surprise and go all the way. But the thing that's holding, in my opinion, the thing that's holding back is them like Harry Kane is due his annual injury. Like he didn't have it last year, but he had the Euros before that. He had a full season. And this is what I believe. I may be wrong, but the initial first 3 4 months of the season with Nuno Espirito Santo and him wanting to leave Man City, like he wasn't giving that his 110% those 3 and 4 months. So maybe that played a part. Him not getting injured last season, and then he played the Nations League this summer break, and now but before the World Cup, their Spurs are guaranteed to play at least 24 games, and then he will be the main man for England. So I think that and if Harry Kane goes missing, like whether you buy Richarlison for 60 or you buy Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you will not be getting the same output as Harry Kane gives, the same output and the impact that Harry Kane brings to your team. And we know like how rigorous Antonio Conte's system is. So like I expect Harry Kane to break down. I still have my reservations regarding their center backs. I think like they have bought Longley. Like I never like rated him as a center back. However, since this is Conte and he will be part of a back three. So like Conte can, I think if he comes in, like he will be used in the in the left hand side of the back three. So like maybe he could make use of Subway, and then Jack Spence. I think he's still a bit far away before integrating into the Spurs team, because there was an interesting interview of Conte, like where he said that it was not particularly his signing, it was the club signing. So like that might play a part in either Matt Doherty or Emerson Royal getting the nod ahead of him. And I know, and we all know like they are not consistent. And so yeah, maybe by the second half of the season, a Jess Spence gets in, and so that being said, so there I don't trust their defense yet. And yeah, so if the Harry injury is there, so they can, I think, push for a second place, but I still doubt they can go all the way. Then I have Liverpool in first because you see, for the first time I think in Pep's tenure, apart from his very first season with Man City, Man City squad looks thin, and it's really thin. They don't have wide attackers that could, like impact games like the way Pep you likes, and then they also don't have, able backups as fullbacks. Like they at the moment they don't have a left back. They are destined to miss out on Mark Cucurella, and then after him, I think as far as like I've read and heard, they are for Borna Sosa of from RSC Anderlecht in the Belgian league. And I've watched a few clips, and he will need a bit of time integrating and molding, but Pep can get the best out of him. Their center back, the second center back role is an issue. And if you look at the World Cup teams, and you look at the top six teams, Man City has the most number of players leaving for the World Cup. I think they have, I think, 15 or 16 first team players that will be heading to the World Cup. Erling Haaland being the major, a starter that won't be going for the World Cup, so he gets a nice 6 week rest. And this is why, like, I will back him to get the top scorer. And this is the main reason for me City don't get the title this year. As far as Liverpool are concerned, I think they still have enough depth with Firmino and Jota, to get their goals. However, uh, the thing that makes it exciting between the top three is that Liverpool still haven't addressed their midfield issue. In as they're starting from as
Wait,
they're starting
Rahul,
midfield
Rahul,
trio, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you short here, but because you've been talking about this thing, like how Liverpool hasn't addressed their issues, and or
Hmm.
City's squad is a little thin, and even
Hmm.
Anshuman said that, and even Ali said that. So I just want to
Hmm.
bring all of us to this point, and I think we should just discuss about this a little bit. By the way, our predictions are up. So Shwetaabh says Manchester City, Anshuman says Tottenham Hotspurs, Rahul says Liverpool, and Ali Manchester City. The funny thing is that the two United supporters are saying it's City for the title. But what I'm trying to ask you guys here is, this is August, and this is the first time
Hmm.
I think the season is starting a little earlier. A month of transfer activities are still left, and obviously I'm sure the managers also know that this is going to be a season where there's going to be a World Cup in between. A World Cup is something which could be really draining for a football player, that also coming in the middle of the season, where you're not going to get a break before you go to the World Cup and after you go to the World Cup. It's like, I mean, I don't know how many games a player might end up playing. They might end up playing anywhere between 50 to 55 games a season. So considering this in mind, do you think bolster their squad in the coming month? Because that is something that we have to keep in mind. Plus also we have to keep in mind there's going to be a January transfer window also. So if, as you said, because we saw what happened with Liverpool 2 seasons back, their injury problems was one of the reasons why they ended up almost out of the top four, and lessons have been learned by that, I hope. So January is also going to be a crucial period. What do you guys think, keeping all this in mind? Do your predictions have you did you guys keep this in mind while you were making your predictions?
Yeah, I have kept the injuries, the champion, the European nights, the club games, the World Cup, everything into consideration, like
So
before
how do you
giving this
think? So
list.
how do you think,
Hmm.
Rahul, the transfer activities are going to go? You think Liverpool is done with their transfers, or City is done with their transfers?
Like the noise coming out of Liverpool looks like they would be going for a midfielder. So like this is what I was like alluding to you earlier. Like this is what makes it a close fight between us, Liverpool, City, and Spurs, in my opinion, because Liverpool aren't looking like addressing their midfield issue. Whereas if you look at Man City, if like they, in my opinion, they might like Lucas Paqueta is one player like they're looking at from Lyon for that number 8 role, Lucas Paqueta from Lyon. So he's one player they're looking at left back. They might, get a winger maybe late in the window. Chelsea are also doing bits there after Cucurella. Might get a Frankie De Jong as well. and I think they are also linked with the Wesley for Fofana as well, and also and even Arsenal are behind like after 2 or 3 players. So like the dynamics can certainly change by the time the transfer window ends. So like this is what I was going to end it with that, like although these predictions are based on where the team stands as of now, but in a month's time everything could change, and we could be all like laughing at our own predictions.
So Anshuman, do you think that keeping like the point that Rahul said and what we just discussed about the transfers still happening, do you think there's going to be any one transfer which could change your prediction, or it could come back to slap all of us in our faces when it comes to the predictions?
Yeah, well, that is the thing about predictions. It will always come back to bite you, and in different ways. You may find yourself having relegated a team that ends up in the European places, or you find yourself,
True.
like me, having suggested that Spurs will win the league and they might as well fall out of Europe altogether. You never know.
Yeah.
That's the thing
Yeah.
about predictions. It's something
Yeah.
that we have to take on board when we talk about predictions. So
Yeah.
yeah, look, it is what it is. Right now, we can only talk about what we have seen so far. We can only
Hmm.
take into account what we have in front of us, and nobody really knows what will happen. Maybe tomorrow we'll find two players who are very crucial to their respective sides are out for the season. So these kind of things are unprecedented, much like the Winter World Cup. So there is a lot of going on here that we cannot really project because we don't know how things will pan out. So right now, that is the thing with preseason predictions. You can only look at what has been done so far and try to make a guess to the best of your abilities.
That's actually very well put, Anshu. And probably this is something that we could get back to in our mid-season review or just before the World Cup when we review the season gone behind us, and that's when we'll be at a better place to just see how correct we were with our predictions or what things have changed. Ali, what do you think? How about you? Do you think the clubs are the champions elect, as if I may put it? Are all of them done with their transfers, or there could still be movement in the next 1 month? For example, just tell me this: ki what kind of, give me one movement which might happen, which might change all of this, which might just change the whole structure for you of the champion for the champions prediction.
I don't think there's a single movement which can change the whole structure, but City are not done with the transfers. Neither are Liverpool. They are going for a midfielder, and I don't think any team is there is which is done with their transfers. So one more than 1 month is left. So there are going to be lots of actions in the window, and City are going to get a left back for sure. Then Liverpool are going to get a midfielder. Again, there can be some actions in the January window which can decide which way the title is going, just because of the World Cup and whoever gets injured during that or after that. So we can't judge it from now on, even before the season has started, that there's one thing which can change anything. There are
That could maybe
lots of
well be.
things. Yeah, lots of things to come in the
Yeah,
next
that
one
could
month.
may well be true. I think I have one prediction, which is I think this year the January transfer window is going to be bigger than the summer transfer window. That's just something I feel, because this is going to happen after the World Cup. We don't know what is going to happen in the World Cup. There might as well be a big injury. The team's compositions might change. People might have to just get into the window with a lot of money pumping in. So that is one thing I feel personally, that this year the January transfer window is going to be bigger. But keeping that in mind, let's move ahead to the top six, because as we all know, it's not the top four anymore, and it is not about the big four clubs anymore. It's now we have a top six, a big six that we call it in England. So what are your predictions for that? Who do you think are going to end up for the Champions League places? Who do you think are going to go end up for the Europa League places? Who are going to fall off the Europe scenario completely? I'll start with Ali. Ali, what are your predictions
My predictions
for the
are
top six?
first Liverpool, first City. I place that, and then second Liverpool. I think these two will be the same. Tottenham might
Yeah.
end up at second. I do feel that, but I don't see
Okay.
them winning the league, obviously. And then
Okay.
Tottenham at third, and this might be biased, and it is also judgmental that United will be fourth, because we were absolutely disastrous last season. Even then, we finished sixth, And I didn't think the kind of performance United gave last season deserved them to finish anywhere above eighth or ninth. So we have been lucky. I think we'll finish it at fourth, and then fifth Arsenal, sixth Chelsea. This might be a shock that Champions League playing Chelsea will finish sixth, but they are weaker and they are not able to
Yeah.
get the signings done properly. That's a huge loss for them. So they don't have defenders yet. Even Leicester rejected their bid for 60 million for Fofana, and I
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah.
that. I don't think. First of all, the basics is a manager getting his priority target, and they are
Yeah.
into their third stages right now. So this is how I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, Chelsea's just had a very funny transfer season so far. That might
Absolutely.
change in the coming weeks,
Actually,
but still, I don't know.
actually,
Yeah,
they're playing the transfer window for Barcelona till now.
yeah, yeah. That's actually true. This is the first. There are three deals being hijacked. So Rahul, what is your prediction for the top six? And then we can just move it to Anshuman. Then we can have a broader discussion about our choices.
Yeah, so I have Liverpool winning the league, Man City in second, Spurs finishing a close third. I feel it will be a close battle between Arsenal and Chelsea. But I have Arsenal pipping them to fourth, Chelsea fifth, and I think United will be distant sixth. Since I think there's still a lot more work to be done. This is just the first year of Ten Hag, and like people need to calm down. This is like if they get top four, that in itself it is a miraculous achievement by Eric Ten Hag, in my opinion. Let alone anything else.
But
Anshuman,
more, the thing which is stranger is Arsenal getting into the top six. They haven't been there in since last 5 or 6 seasons.
okay, okay,
So
okay,
So
last
okay,
season we
guys.
were
Just,
fifth.
just, 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 guys, relax, relax,
there's no difference.
relax.
There's no difference between fifth and sixth, right?
Guys,
It's just the
relax,
same.
relax, relax. I know where this
Everything
is
has
coming
the
from. This is, I don't want a pizza gate to happen here. Screen पे लोग pizza, biryani ये सब फेंकने लग जाएंगे यहाँ पे. तो वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Let's just first move to Anshuman. Anshuman, what do you think? Who are your picks for? What are your picks for the top six?
So, like I've already said, Spurs are my go for the league. And Liverpool and Man City, I don't think they'll be far behind if they will be behind at all. I think between Man City and Liverpool in this moment in time, for me, I think Liverpool will edge Man City slightly, ever so slightly. So Liverpool is second for me, Man City third, and my fourth is Arsenal. And look, right from the get go, I think the Cronkies need to be given a lot of credit for backing Edu and then Edu backing Mikel Arteta. Because from day one, you have an understanding of what Mikel Arteta has been trying to do. Because in his style of play, you can see the what he has picked up from Guardiola and what Guardiola in turn picked up from Johan Cruyff and Marcelo Bielsa. There are hints of what he has been trying to do with the triangulated passing, with the positional switching, and the use of the half spaces. And all of that tells you that Mikel Arteta is someone who understands football, and he to do that, and he has been given time. He has been given time to let the players out that he does not see fit in the team. He has also been he has also done a recently decently good job as far as identifying talent is concerned, as far as identifying the right character for the players is concerned. So I think he has the right team. He has had the right ideology. The issue with Arsenal have always been whether all the quote unquote embarrassing performance that they have had, whether this would make the owners have to make a decision. Because we know that there is one section of the Arsenal fan base that is very infamous for being very, well, pugnacious, for the lack of a better word. They always immediately scream out and say that they want Arteta gone because Arteta has not yet delivered them Champions League football. But I think patience has been the key. I am personally very glad to still see him the job, and I think he's done a very good job in building the Arsenal setup from the ground up because that needed doing. Because as a Manchester United fan, I have the first-hand experience, and I can tell you that when you have someone like Arsene Wenger's dynasty coming to an end, it takes a time for things to go back to the way they were. And you need to be patient. That is the key word. And Arsenal have been with Arteta. And I think this is the right time for them, given that the teams that there are around them, given the other two remaining two of the big six teams, and the other teams that I have already talked about. I think Arsenal have the right substance, have the right materials this season to at least make top four. Uh, but I think they will have enough of draws and the occasional defeat in them to be fourth and not second or third. it won't be a very distant four. They won't be very distant four as far as I'm concerned. I think it's going to be a very close contested top six battle. But I think right now for me, Arsenal is the fourth team, and the fifth team is Chelsea. And the reason for that goes even beyond the summer, even beyond the transfer activities Todd Bowley has been doing. Because when Roman Abramovich's era came to an end, the first thing that I mentioned, wherever I could, was that things are going to change for Chelsea, and things are going to become for Chelsea a lot more like the way things have been for Liverpool over the past 7-8 years, which means that they are going to have to be a lot more patient. And the immediate success that they have enjoyed was more down to the structure that they had, because their hierarchy was, for better or worse, sorted. So they never really had to worry about the hierarchy making bad decisions or the hierarchy being in disarray. So they could almost always focus about coaches. And and that was always the philosophy with Chelsea. As long as you're winning, you're fine. The moment you stop winning, it doesn't matter what kind of manager you are, what legacy you have, you will go out the door. And that is something that they have maintained from Abraham Grant to Carlo Ancelotti. So that is something that Chelsea maintained under Abramovich, which was they able to do because they were backed by an oligarch with near infinite wealth. That is no longer the case, because the consortium that now oversees Chelsea does not have the infinite wealth. Much like the Glazers and the FSG group, these are people with, despite being billionaires, limited money. They are going to have to be very judicious with the kind of money they spend and where they spend. And Liverpool is a very good example insofar as, despite not having the most amount of money, they have invested in the right people, which has in the long run brought them the results that they want. And Chelsea, that is going to be the thing with them as well. Chelsea fans are not going to have to make peace with the fact that this will more of a long term thing. Success is not going to be something that comes and goes quite frequently, because with Chelsea things are always like one season they are winning the league, the next season they are out of the top four, and it's never much of a problem because the rot always starts and ends at the manager. The moment you change the manager, the other work comes and gives you a success, and then he'll be out the door next season when things start going south. So that's not going to be a thing anymore, because the structure has changed. The way they are going to operate has changed. And we have already seen Todd Bowley trying to do his best. He is not he is not a man with a football background, but he's trying his best to back the manager, which is the reason that Cristiano Ronaldo's move to Chelsea fell through, because Thomas Tuchel simply said it's not happening. That is not a player I want. And it's good to see that a manager is being backed, which is something that Chelsea need to do this season, because they do not have a sporting director in place. Eventually, they would want to have their own recruitment system in place to work with the manager and not for the manager. But right now, they are they're going to have to back Tuchel as much as they can. And even Thomas Tuchel has it in him to end up fighting with the hierarchy. He has done that at Paris. He did that at Dortmund as well. So we'll see if this is a season in which Thomas Tuchel's time at Chelsea actually comes to an end, which is something I speculated when he actually arrived in the first place. We'll see what happens, but right now Chelsea are being backed, and as far as their hierarchical change is concerned, that will render a long-term shift into their operations, which means that they're going to the success will be a lot more of a long-term affair rather than the up and down that they were used to. So they are fifth for me, and the distant sixth in this battle for top six will be for Manchester United. The thing, I would have put Manchester United a lot lower than sixth if I thought there was another team that could actually break into the top six, but I just cannot see one. There are dark horses, sure. I think there are teams that could make a run for it, but this particularly seems like one of those seasons in which the top six are already on paper already way ahead. The likes of Leicester, Wolves, who in the past have challenged, and the likes of Newcastle, who now have the near infinite wealth, much more than Man City, and will eventually become one of the best teams in the land, are still a bit behind. I think it's way too soon for them to be challenging for Europe. You never know, but right now I feel that is the case. So Manchester United, they had it very easy. Like Ali said, we were very lucky to end up sixth and not eighth or ninth, because we did not deserve to be in any European places, given the way we ended our season. And so I think the United are once again very lucky that on paper, going into the season, going into match day one, there is not team that immediately screams out as a contender for the sixth spot. And we have seen that Eric Ten Hag, he's been trying to implement a lot of things that are different from both Ragnick and obviously Solskjaer. The players have been able to pick it up. There are quite positive signs in preseason, but the whole season for Manchester United fans is about being realistic, because we are not going to go for any kind of league. We are not going to go for any trophy. If a knockout trophy comes our way, if a knockout trophy does come our way, it will not be a reflection of any kind of long-term success. knockout trophies, that is the thing about knockout tournaments. If you are better on the day, if you are the better team on the day, and you can maintain that run for a stretch of 3 to 4 games, you can go ahead and win a trophy. I don't, as a rule of thumb, I don't use knockout trophies as a barometer for judging a team's long-term success. So I will not do that here as well. I think as far as Manchester United are concerned, this season our priority is for Eric Ten Hag to be able to find a core of players he can trust, to be able to find a core of players he can put out week in, week out, to be able to find a primary system with which he wants to play, to be able to find flexible enough variations for them as well. And we'll see if he can get that all of that in this season. I think Manchester United will have good enough performances to be able to land themselves the sixth position. So yeah, they are my sixth team. A distant sixth, but sixth all the same.
Okay. So, yeah, so actually that was quite detailed, Anshuman. And my predictions for the top six are I have City as the champions, obviously. And this pick might surprise the three of you because all three of you have put my team way down the list. But I put Manchester United on the second, because this season I'm very sure this is the same squad which finished second 2 seasons back. It was just 2 seasons back. Now I know you guys can say it was Liverpool's injury or whatever, but the squad was really performing well. They had a major away run where they did not lose at all away, and I think it's one of the my I think that United's problem last year was more about management than the players, and I think even though I'm a Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fan and he's a club legend, but we always knew that that boat is going to sink, because he's not that tactically a strong manager with the kind of changes that we've seen in the Premier League. And this year we actually have someone who knows the modern footballs. And I know we said the same about Van Gaal, and we had a winner like Mourinho. But even Mourinho, when United finished seventh, the next season they came second with more or less the same squad. So I think United will be second for me. Third is Liverpool for the obvious reasons that I've mentioned, that they are weak, but they're not that weak. And for fourth, I'm still confused, and that's why I want to have your thoughts on this. I think the fourth is between Arsenal and Tottenham. Uh, Either Arsenal will be fourth or Tottenham will be fourth, and the other team is going to be fifth, obviously. And for my sixth pick, it's either Chelsea or I have my dark horse for the season, Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa is someone who can really do wonders this year because we saw what they were doing last season. So that's my pick. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you guys say about the dark
Shweta,
horses? Like, yeah,
they finished 14th last season, Villa.
that's I know,
Yeah.
I understand that United also finished sixth last
And
season.
this is why I have them as my flop of the season, like
No,
Aston Villa.
again, Steven Gerrard it hasn't been successful yet in implementing the kind of play he used to do in Rangers. He has got players, he has got the backing, he has options on the bench too, but the players aren't they are not tending to perform properly. So we expected, even I expected Aston Villa to finish in a European spot last season, but I don't see them doing that again this season. That's
Well,
true.
Like
we'll move on to our
Their
dark horses
performances
then.
have been, yeah.
We'll move on to our dark horses next, and so that we can have a wider discussion on this. But right now, let's see our top six, and let's see kisko ye aake kaatta hai. My top six is City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal or Tottenham, Chelsea or Aston Villa. Anshuman has gone with Tottenham, Liverpool, City, Arsenal for the Champions League places, Chelsea and United for the Europa League. Rahul has gone with Liverpool as champions, City, Tottenham, and Arsenal to finish for the Champions League places. Chelsea and United again for the Europa League. And Ali has gone with City as champions, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Arsenal again for the Champions League places, and Chelsea and United again for our Europa League. So yeah, as I see, it's mostly according to the four of us at least, it's Liverpool, City, Tottenham, and Arsenal who are favourites for the Champions League this season, and Chelsea and United are to fight for the Europa League. So guys, let's move quickly to our dark horses for the season, and for like I've obviously already mentioned. For me, it's Aston Villa only because the moment when Gerrard joined, and managers joining mid-season, you should never gauge their performance according to the how the season has gone. From the mid-season onwards. I think what Gerrard did with Rangers and the kind of things that we saw him doing with Aston Villa, I think that was something I feel could just build on this year. But we'll see. First, let's just see. Rahul, Ali, Anshuman, give me your picks for the dark horses quickly.
No, I'll say first. My
Yeah.
dark horse is actually epitome of being a dark horse. Tottenham winning the Premier League.
Hmm.
That can be a huge shock for every one of us around the globe.
True.
So I do think, and that's I've picked them just because of Antonio Conte, and I see Daniel Levy in a different state of mindset this season around, because I haven't seen him backing his managers the way he has backed on Antonio Conte, and then having the chance to keep Antonio Conte again for the next season is a big win for them, and that is their best achievement before the start of the season. So I do feel he can thrust the team towards the glory altogether, just because. And again, Harry Kane is still there, which I never thought last season that he's gonna play for Tottenham in 2022-23 season. They've got Richarlison. They have improved on their bench. They've got Kulusevski, and again, Jet Spence is a matter of concern, but they do have options there, so who those players can cover up. So let's see. I'm just confused because of their defense. I don't think their center backs are too good, apart from maybe Christian Romero. That's it.
Rahul, who's your dark horse
Yeah,
besides
so I
Arsenal?
have actually beside Arsenal, we could say then Newcastle is a like good shout to at least challenge for that Europa Conference League places, in my opinion, like because they have made some good signings after Eddie Howe has joined the club. And like this season, I think they have bought Sven Botman, Matt Target, and I think one more guy was there. Let me have a look.
Well, we can have
Yeah,
Anshuman telling us his dark horse.
Like
Hmm.
which I think is a very good signing from Burnley. And
Yeah.
like last and the January transfer window also they bought in like Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon, and then they have bought in Kieran Trippier. So like then Dan Burn. So like they have now a good core. And like initially I was worried that Eddie Howe's Newcastle might struggle defensively just like his Bournemouth side did during the latter stages of his term there. But however, like in the gap that he took between these 3.5 seasons, I think he has really worked on the defensive aspect of his system. And the attack also looks, and because attack also look fluid. And like if they can add in my opinion a right-sided winger, because they only have Almiron, who's mainly featuring on the right hand side. So if they can get a right winger and a CDM, in my opinion, then they can challenge for that European place.
Anshuman, who's your dark horse for the season, and what's your reason?
So I'm very torn between Newcastle and Crystal Palace, but because in pre-recording I sent Crystal Palace, that's who I'm going to stick with. So over the last season and thus this summer, Patrick Vieira has been developing quite a squad, and yes, this season they do not have Conor Gallagher with them, but I think the team that they have developed over the past season and a half is quite interesting. This season, they are already brought in the likes of Malcolm Abioway, Sam Johnston, Sheikh Dupure, Chris Richards. So these are not the names that immediately stand out, and that is understandable. But I think the overall makeup of the team is quite exciting. I think Patrick Vieira is a very good, very exciting manager in that regard. He did quite a lot with Nice in Ligue 1 before things went south. And I think he is in that phase right now where things are going to go up for Palace for a while. And even though I sincerely believe that Newcastle are going to climb up the table in the long run much sooner than anticipated, I think I'm going to stick with Crystal Palace for this season.
That's nice. Okay, one more thing when we are talking about Newcastle, because this is something that we guys have seen happening in the Premier League for the past since Chelsea was taken over by Roman Abramovich. The pumping in of money, and suddenly within 2 years, a club standing. Like we're not living in the times where, that academy से लोग players आ रहे हैं, एक build हो रहा है,
Actually, yeah.
traditional
Uh,
powerhouses हैं. तो उसमें मुझे बस my question is Rahul, and I think I'll just address it to
mhm,
you because you brought on this topic about Eddie Howe's
mhm.
Bournemouth also struggling. What do you think about their spending? According to me, they've been much wiser than a City was or a Chelsea was, because they ran after superstars immediately, you know.
Yeah,
And
I've been really
Newcastle have been,
impressed with Newcastle.
yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. Like even the choice
Like
of
the
the manager,
profile
I
of,
was
yeah,
very glad.
yeah,
Yeah,
like the manager they went for, they like, if you look it from the outside, like you would know, like they have a clear plan in their heads, and like they are sticking with it, and like they are not going like when the takeover happened, I think the likes of PSG and other big clubs, like they were licking their lips, and they were feeling like the Newcastle would, come and take all the deadwoods on high wages. However, like they have been very smart, that they know that if they have to be competitive, they just can't go after those, big names. Instead, they need to, back whoever they hire in as a manager. They need to back him, and stick with his philosophy, and as far as they could. And I think that has certainly happened with Eddie Howe, in my opinion. And and just by the second half of last season, that was evident. Like after Eddie Howe joined Newcastle, I think they were the, I think, seventh or eighth best team in the league. So that's very evident what he has brought to the team, and things can only get better for them. And I think the main reason Newcastle haven't, and this is a valid issue, that people need to think of, they have Newcastle been really been this smart with their transfer, or is it that uh, the financial fair play has forced them? Because before, clubs like City and all, like they could get their their owner backed sponsors to the team and pump money into the club. The in Recently, this has been put in check by the Premier League, so Newcastle haven't been able to attract those dubious sponsors. So that might play a part in this. And since in the past, if you look, and since FFP works on a 3-year basis, in the past 3 years, they haven't sold that many players on high fees. So if you don't have that to show, you can't go out there and spend 200 or 300 million in transfer window, because the very next
yeah,
season
that's
you will
true.
be
Yeah.
caught, and the
No, and
FFP
actually,
will put an
I
embargo
think
on you.
Rahul, also that's one of the good positives that we've seen in the Premier League for the past 2 3 seasons. And I'm sorry, we've just lost Anshuman for some reason. He might just join us back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these kind of things are needed also in the Premier League. So this brings me up, actually the Newcastle ka discussion brings me up to my next
Hmm.
question, and I'm going to combine two questions at once because they all seem similar. Ali, you tell me, Newcastle till 2 years back used to be favorites for relegations. उनका जिस टाइप से फॉर्म चल रहा था ever since Alan Pardew has left. Do you think this year Newcastle could be in the relegation fight, or which clubs will be there? And is Eddie Howe's job safe? If not, who do you think is going to be the first manager to face the sack this season?
Again, Newcastle, I think Newcastle are going to finish in the top 10, absolutely, because the way they finished their season last time around, it was absolutely terrific and shocking too. They were actually in the relegation fight last time when Eddie Howe came in and he saved
Yeah,
that sinking ship.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Newcastle are going to be there, and Newcastle might push for the European places, but Callum Wilson's fitness is a big issue for them. If he's fit, he can deliver them some goals and some link ups. So they are again there for a striker in the market. They missed out on Hugo Ekitike, who went to PSG. So Newcastle are going to finish top 10. For relegation, two teams I feel very certain about who are going to get relegated are Fulham and Bournemouth, because there are 18 different teams who are absolutely miles better than those two teams, and they
even
haven't done
Nottingham
too much.
Forest.
Yeah, they
Nottingham
are far
Forest
better.
they are absolutely getting almost a full 11 of new players. They are the most active team in the transfer market, in the from amongst every Premier League teams. So they've
So
got a
which,
right back, left back, they've got midfielder, they've
but
got a striker.
Rahul, don't you think that this getting a completely new 11 could also be tricky in a new season? Don't you think that's also fodder for relegation?
Yeah, Yeah, that could be tricky. However, their manager Steve Cooper, like he is, renowned to, get. He's like you can say an English Antonio Conte in some regard. Like
Yeah,
he is someone who
Yeah,
gets a
yeah.
tune out of his players and get the best out of them. So hence why I think they should, comfortably secure their Premier League status at least for the next season. And I wouldn't, I would be surprised if they finish lower than 15. At this point of time.
Wow, wow, wow. That almost makes them your
actually,
dark horses. Actually,
actually
when we
for
talk
them,
about Steve Cooper, we should just tell our audience a little about Steve Cooper for those that don't know. Steve Cooper has also worked with the England under 17 setup for the longest time. He was there with Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp had come in, and he's had an extensive history of working with young players. He has developed players like Sancho, Foden, Angelo Gomez, a lot of these people who we see playing for England. So he's an amazing coach. Even a coach like Klopp has said that Cooper deserves his spot in the big time. So that actually Cooper could be a big reason why Nottingham Forest is could be a dark horse this season. But Rahul, who are your picks for the for relegation?
Yeah, so I have AFC Bournemouth at plumb last. I think they are dead and buried already. I don't see any light for them. Second last, I have Fulham. I think they are too open in the back. Although they have signed João Palhinha from the Portuguese league, and I think he's a really exciting and good young defensive midfielder who would, stop two of some of those shipping goals. However, like their openness in the back doesn't give me any confidence that they could secure their Premier League status for another season. And in 18, that was I think in 18th I was torn between Everton and Southampton. However, I think Everton might pull the plug on Frank Lampard before even the World Cup. Hence why they might, save their Premier League status for another season. And I have Southampton at 18 because if you see their recruitment, they really haven't done enough. Like they are buying Man City youth players for 15, 18, 20 million euros, which can be, spent elsewhere on better quality players. So how see, I really like Hassan Hotel. However, I this if Southampton are to survive, James Ward-Prowse have to single-handedly score those set pieces and win those games for Southampton. This is the only way I see them keeping their top flight status.
Well, I
Who are your
had my
relegation? Yeah,
Yeah, so I
yeah.
was,
Hmm.
you guys have actually, this is what happens ना, experts ही रहते हैं. तो आप दोनों के expert opinion के बाद मेरा opinion थोड़ा change हो गया है. I had Nottingham Forest at 18, Fulham at 19, or actually, Nottingham, Fulham, and Everton were my relegation picks. But now that you're mentioning it, I think I will remove Nottingham because I just completely forgot the factor of Steve Cooper there.
and
It doesn't
again
even matter the players. Yes,
Nottingham
Ali,
have
yes.
recruited some brilliant players in Jesse Lingard for one season. Then they have Brennan Johnson, who is a brilliant young winger. He was their main part
But
in the last time
but
around for
उससे
them finished. And again, Dean
But I
Henderson
think
as
he's
the
injured
goalkeeper.
though now, right, Ali?
Dean Henderson is gone.
Brennan
Johnson?
Johnson,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
he is
he
injured,
recently got
but
injured.
but
Yeah. So I
he'll
think
come
it is
back
a
in a month
long-term
or so.
injury too. Like, isn't it a
No,
long-term injury? I read it was 2 or 3 months at least.
I heard it was around 1.5 months.
यार
Although
राहुल
they
मेरे को
got
तो लगता है कि
Taiwo.
Hmm.
मेरे को लगता है कि इस साल इस सीजन ना जो लॉन्ग टर्म इंजरीज हैं वो विंटर में नए
Hmm.
साइनिंग की तरह वर्क करेंगे. आई एम रियली दिस ईयर
Hmm.
तो आई एम
ये
वेरी
भी हो
श्योर
सकता
दैट
है. That's a good fact.
It's
January is going to be huge this season. But anyway, हाँ एक और चीज like you was talking about the players Ali of Nottingham Forest, but according to
Again,
me, this is one thing I still remember. I used to watch this series, and there was this host. There was an expert on this football show. I don't know. I forgot the name, but he said one thing. This was I think 2007-8 season, and he said that I think United is going to be champions this year because Liverpool has bought these players, Arsenal has bought these players, Chelsea has bought these players, but United has Ferguson. you know so that is something I remember. And the
no, but
more we have seen in the past 4 5 years, I think Premier League has become so manager oriented. A good manager
exactly.
can just elevate your team. So that is
yeah,
why I think
the best
Steve Cooper
example is
factor.
the the best example is Graham Potter, what he has done with Brighton, with those
Absolutely,
sort of
Really.
players.
absolutely. Graham Potter is just, I mean, I think that is something where we should now talk about. Manager of the season and the manager who's going to get sacked for sure. And I think
For
मैंने तो अपना
me,
pick बता दिया अचानक से तुम लोग की बात सुन के ना. My manager of the season is Steve Cooper. I think he's going to do some wonder this year. What do you
for
guys think?
me,
I have Eddie Howe as my manager of the season. Like I believe like he will spring a few surprises and might get the seventh and crucial European place for Newcastle.
I see
Okay, Ali.
Antonio Conte. I see Antonio Conte as becoming the manager of the season, and the one who might get sacked is Frank Lampard.
Oh,
No, no, not manager in the season, not like the Premier League manager season. The manager of the season, in your opinion.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think,
In
I
my
think, I think,
opinion,
yeah, yeah,
I'm telling that
Yeah.
for me,
yeah, yeah. I think he meant Antonio Conte.
it is Antonio Conte.
I
Okay.
think I
Fine.
agree with you on one fact, Ali, and I disagree on one. Frank Lampard, for sure, I think is going to be the first to be sacked. He did not. He was, I think, very lucky to see Everton off the line, and I don't think anything has been done. I don't think it's his fault. Also, Everton's business this season has been shitty, completely shitty. Their transfer business, you know. तो आई थिंक फ्रैंक लैम्पार्ड का तो जाना वो है और हाँ लेकिन मेरे को लगता है I'll tell you, I think my second or third manager to go this season, and you guys might find it tough to digest, could be Antonio Conte. You know, because
Antonio Conte, if he goes, he will go on his own. He's not getting
he'll
sacked.
go on his own. But that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. He's just going
I
to walk
find it
away.
but
hard to believe.
not during the course of the season. He's not gonna leave during the course of the season. That's absolutely
And mainly
blatant fact.
because,
I don't see
like
that.
Spurs and Peterici have really backed him and, given him
You know,
his tools.
I'll tell
So,
you a
like,
fact about
I really
That's
doubt that
more
he
of a
would,
reason.
walk on his own.
That is what I'm saying. Tottenham and Arsenal, they have one thing. Just say I think Ali had said that Tottenham always does it. Tottenham, I think that is also due. Like Arsenal, if they can come out of this funk, because you also know how close Arsenal last season Arsenal did in Arsenal. They were short. They were short in the top four. And this season Tottenham, like what they did with Mourinho, 1 week before a League Cup final, they sack him. You never know what happens with these clubs
but let
because
me
they
tell
have
you.
because just let me complete here, because they have given Antonio Conte
Sure.
everything. Because they've given Antonio Conte everything, there is more of a chance of Levi just firing him if results don't go on their way. Yes, Ali.
I don't see that because the way I've followed Antonio Conte from his time at Juventus, I've researched it. He whenever he stays before a season, he makes sure that he's gonna stay till the end of the season. And if he is not gonna get backed, he will leave the team. He left Inter because they were selling their main players. So I don't see him
And
and see his team
hmm,
underperforming as well.
Hmm.
I can't see Antonio Conte's team missing out on at least top four or maybe top six, and I don't see Tottenham sacking a manager because they are not winning the league. They can't do that. They don't have the right to do that.
Well, let's see. Let's
and
see. Yeah,
yeah,
this is just a very. Yeah,
shut
I think
up.
Rahul is
Yeah,
trying to
just
say something since I said
yeah,
Arsenal did
just
an
on
Arsenal.
No, no,
Yes.
no. Just on Daniel Levy, I think like pardon me for my language, but he doesn't have the balls to sack Antonio Conte. Like he was on his knees twice to have him as the Tottenham Hotspur's manager, so he doesn't have the balls to sack him. If Antonio Conte goes, he goes on his own terms.
Yeah, yeah. That's. Let's see.
That's
Let's
all
see.
I
It's
had to
just
add.
a. It's just a. So, but wait, Rahul, you didn't tell us
Yeah.
which is your pick to for manager to get sacked.
Yeah, that's obviously Frank Lampard, but it's a close shot with Marco Silva as well because he's known for that. I think
Yeah,
that was Anshuman's
Hmm.
pick as well, and I think that's a valid pick because I was
yeah.
also torn between the two. Either of the two could be the first to walk
Same
or
for me
get the
too.
sack.
Same for me too. Marco Silva got sacked last time when he was at
And
Everton, right?
and and he, in the last 3 or 4 seasons, Marco Silva has walked out of 2 or 3 jobs in the
Hmm.
English, in the English hierarchy itself. Like he was, I think, was a Watford manager. Then he jumped the ship for another club. So this has been his, this is how he works. So I think
Chalo,
both are,
good.
valid picks.
I think we have our list for managers to be sacked. I say Frank Lampard. Rahul Ali agree with me. Anshuman had said Marco Silva, and I think Rahul has put across some points which I think Anshuman would have agreed with, but we never know. So yeah, finally we come to our last point of discussion, and this is a point which a lot of which is going to get directly connected with our fantasy Premier League also. Who is going to be the top
Hmm.
scorer this year? What do you think, Ali?
Absolutely, I'm gonna go with Harry Kane. I don't see anyone else coping up with him this time around. He might get affected because of the injury, but I don't see not getting goals. He's gonna get 2 goals almost every other game. So the
What
way
are you
Tottenham are
saying?
playing,
Wow, wow. What do
I
you think,
don't you
Rahul?
think
What do
that's
you
a
have to
I,
say
too
on
I,
that?
that's a that's
That's
a
that's
bit
quite a bold claim.
far too yeah,
if
that's too far stretch.
if people might not agree with me, I might sound a bit childish in it, but Harry Kane is gonna score more than 25
Well, when it comes
this
to
year.
Premier League, Ali, you don't have to be scared of sounding childish because
No,
we are all
I'm
children
not
only.
scared about
We
that.
we we
Whenever
are
I
all
place
children only when it comes to Premier League.
whenever I place my narrative, I'm very firm with it. So Harry
Yeah,
Kane for
yeah,
me, absolutely. And other thing, people might say Haaland, but again, the fact I stated last time around Haaland, I don't
yeah.
see him getting
It's
into the
his.
team
Yeah,
at early quite a lot. And then the presence of people in it. I've seen we've seen Guardiola dropping likes of Mahrez and Sterling even though they were in form. So I don't.
yeah.
Guardiola is too bold
It,
to drop any player from his team. So I don't.
and
I don't
I
see
agree
him.
with you. I agree with you, Ali, on your top scorer. Even I have Harry Kane as my top scorer, only because last season he started very slow and he missed out on the Golden Boot. This year,
Yes,
I'm sure that he must be very excited and I mean
he
very
is getting
pumped
25
to.
plus. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
pumped
yeah.
about
That's
it.
for
He's
sure.
getting
That I
25
think with
plus.
Antonio Conte he could get 30. Rahul, who's your pick?
25 plus.
I, I
I'm
told you
saying
guys, like I told you guys, Harry Kane is due his, annual injury, and like
but
all his injuries, this is going to be a big injury, like 1 or 2 months long. I just have this feeling he will have this injury, and just like and this is only because there is a mid-season World Cup. And and the reason why I have an Erling Haaland as the top scorer because an Erling Haaland is not going to the World Cup. He's going getting a 6 week rest in between, so there's a less chance of him getting injured or not, get playing the majority of the games for City. And this is why I feel like he will start the majority of the games and he will, also play the majority of the games for City in the back end of the season just because he's getting that a 6 week rest in between, just like a Mo Salah is also getting at Liverpool. So this is why I would have both Erling Haaland and Mo Salah ahead of a Harry Kane. And in fact, in this contest system, I would argue that Heung-min Song might outscore Harry Kane just because I- I've seen this pre-season and I've seen them in the back end of the last season. Like the way they're set up, Harry Kane, they don't have a creator. In my opinion, they need a number 10, and if they don't get a number 10, you will see Harry Kane dropping a much deeper. So like this could easily happen that Harry Kane gets just 18 or 19 goals. However, he has 15, 16 or 18 assists. This could very easily happen. But this is very but this you can't escape that. Yeah, he's injury prone, and yeah, he will play a lot deeper unless Spurs side a number 10. This thing, I think, they miss a creator. They don't have it in their team as of now. Giovanni Lo Celso was there, Eric Lamela was there. They are no more there. So yeah, that's the biggest hole.
Well, I think, guys, we have really discussed this season in quite detail, and it just shows कि हम लोग कितने ज़्यादा पिछले 2 महीनों से रिसर्च कर रहे हैं इन सब चीज़ों पे and just been like this is the fun part of following football and Premier League ना even when the season is not on you guys are on to the next season कि अब क्या होगा अगले सीजन क्या होगा क्या स्क्वाड कॉम्पोजिशन है पिछले साल की क्या चीज़ें चेंज होंगी नया कौन आ रहा है पुराना कौन जा रहा है whether it's a manager whether it's a player it's just this is that's the beauty of football for me like
Yeah,
it's
you
such an
always
alive
try to be
sport.
ahead of the curve.
Exactly, and you always want to know what's going on. Then there's always something going on in football. Like obviously the matches were not happening, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there's no off season when it comes to football rumors or football news or what is happening with football. Like we all know what has been happening for the past 1 month with the transfer rumors, and I think this is in one way a much more exciting period than when the games start. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Ali for this detailed discussion. And thank you, Anshuman, also, even though he had to leave in between due to some, I think, technical problem. But we'll see him in the next episode. And we can't wait to see you guys in our next episode when we'll be back with our game week 1 of a fantasy Premier League with Rahul and Ali. And it'll be fun to
Just
see
guys,
where we stand.
quickly, do you have any changes to your squad ahead of tomorrow's midnight game? Like, do
Not
you have
me.
many changes at the initial draft? I think Ali
I've
has a
made
few
changes.
changes.
Yeah, I've made changes. Let me say it. Just
यार अली
I
ये
might
सब
also,
व्हाट्सएप
go for
अली
one or two
ये
changes.
सब चेंजेस व्हाट्सएप कर दिया करो यार. ये अगर मुझे नहीं पता होता मैं चेंज ही नहीं करता.
अरे मैंने I replaced James for Dinia, so it saved me 1 million.
एक सेकंड
So
कैन आई जस्ट लेट मी जस्ट राइट दिस डाउन फर्स्ट. हाँ किसको चेंज किया है?
I replaced James with Dinia,
हम्म.
and then just and Odegaard with Martinelli just to accommodate Bowen. So I have Bowen in the team now. These three
Bowen
changes
in
are made.
place of whom?
Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo. Cool.
इज गॉन विद माय पिक यार. मैं क्या तेरे को कॉपी करूंगा? तूने मेरी कॉपी कर ली है. बावन मेरी टीम में था.
Ah, we can say that, but I was inclined towards having Bowen in the team, but the budget didn't permit me, so I went against James, so that helped me have Bowen in the team.
And I think Rahul ने भी कुछ चेंज किए. I think that's why he came up with this
I still
question. But
haven't
Rahul,
made the
why are you
changes, but I
revealing your?
might.
Don't reveal
No,
your
no, no,
cards
no,
right
let's
now.
see. No, no, no. I am bringing this up just because now we don't have any more, FPL podcast lined up before the game week 1 starts. So I think like this will be helpful for our viewers if you let them know what our changes are. So
I think
that's the
Ali,
main rationale
yeah,
behind
that's
it.
actually, yeah, true. Because I was also about to say that because anyone who's listening to this before the game week begins, you can just see the changes which our experts are doing, and probably
Yeah.
you can accommodate
So
those changes.
from my team, I might make two changes. Like I might drop a Kyle Walker and bring in an Ivan Perisic because it feels like though although he might not play a full 90, however Conte might use him for say 60 or 65 minutes just to build up his
Yeah, yeah.
fitness for the upcoming Chelsea game in game week 2, and that also leaves me with a point 0.5. And I would like to either switch Rashford for a Leandro Trossard, or I might either just keep that point 0.5 million in the bank in case there's a price drop and I had to jump the gun on anyone. So yeah, I think just one change, Walker for Ivan Perisic.
चलो we'll see ये सब changes हमें किस तरीके से
Do you
और
have any
अभी
changes,
अली
Shweta?
राहुल I'm not making any changes, and even if I do, I'm not going to reveal it right now because I don't want this to come
Sure,
back to
sure.
bite me. That's my only reason. कि फिर ये because अभी Rahul, now that you mentioned it, let's see how
Hmm.
if this change proves useful to you or detrimental to you in the standing. तो हम अगले podcast में we'll see where we stand, all three of us, and we'll also be seeing our league, who the champion for the week is. We will try to get him on the call, and from next week onwards, we'll also try to get some people from our league. On our call on our FPL podcast. And our league is also called Blood, Sweat, and Beers. The link and the code to join is in the description. Please join the league because it's going to be fun. You have two experts guiding you here about what kind of players you can take, what switches you can make. Also, please follow SportsKhabri on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere because SportsKhabri is a great website to engage in sports, and you guys are missing out on something if you're not following it. And thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Ali. Thank you so much for this brilliant discussion. I am very, very excited for the season. I have this flag also. It is quite unlucky for me, to be honest, because since I bought this, United hasn't won one title, you know.
You
But
can ship it
let's
to
hope.
me, like
Let's
you can ship
हाँ
it to
मे बी
me. I'll make it
शायद
lucky.
मैं यही करूँगा. क्या पता तुम्हारे पास पहुँचने से लकी हो जाए. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. This was a brilliant discussion, and thank you, Anshuman, also, even though he couldn't be here. And guys, please tune into our next podcast. We'll be talking about football, fantasy Premier League, and we'll be talking about the coming week. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you everyone. Thank you,
Thank you. Had a
Shweta.
great
Thank you,
time.
Rahul.
Yeah, same here.